Hello, my friends. It's been a while. It's probably been 7 months or so since I last posted a video anywhere. Um, and it's been incredibly transformative and confusing and uh, interesting time in my life, I should say. Um, but I guess I'll hop right into it. Uh, from what I've experienced, Jesus Christ is Lord, and I believe He saved my soul in February. Um, I'll explain a little bit further how I came to this experience, realization, and I'll likely do something that's more intricate later on, or depending on where my life goes from here and what I am meant to do in this world. I'm assuming that'll be an ongoing thing as far as what I'll be talking about or where I put my service. I don't know. I have many questions for myself still, but this isn't, I want to be clear on this. This isn't meant to come off as arrogant or self-righteous or close-minded to other realms of thoughts. But like what happened with me is in February, well, basically to set things up a little bit, for years and pretty much most of my life, I've considered myself basically spiritual, but not religious per se. And in February, I came across some testimonies online of people who were in the New Age / higher consciousness, pantheistic spaces of thought, and people who were into manifestation and many, many other things that fall under what is called the New Age umbrella. And I was very much into that. I was doing all those things, which I'll get into a little bit more as this video goes along. But when I came to opening my mind enough to accepting Jesus as Lord, like just putting all of my things I've learned aside and just be like, hey, like Jesus, if you're the truth, as is spoken about in the Bible, something I never read before, then just like show me or something. And like I was filled in my heart with the most undescribable feeling of unconditional love I've ever felt in my life. Despite having a loving family and good people around me, like this was such a different, unexplainable experience that I hope more of you will experience in life. But at the same time, it's also scary because there's so much change and so many things that come with that are unexpected. And that was when things shifted for me, and it kind of shook me. And then I had some, what I would call spiritual warfare, which is actually talked about quite a bit. It actually happened to me, like demonic attacks and just weird things that I never really thought about, like, I don't know how deep I'll get into some of those in this video, but this is mainly just a, hey, this is where I've been sort of thing, and this is what's going on, and this is where I'm at in life. If that even interests you, I don't know. If you stay till the end, I'll be grateful, but if you don't stay till the end, I do want to at least portray this. A big part of coming to Jesus is something that happens after that, which is repentance and basically, I think what happens with a lot of people, they just start to see like where they were sinners. Something I never really thought about. I think we're all, like in my past, I should say, in terms of sin, and it's not something I really like wrapped my head around. I think most of us, or all of us, are from what I could tell, born with a conscience, a conscience of like what is generally good and bad and whatnot. And I think that is God's design integrated into us in some way. But on top of that, there are many factors and things that happen in our lives, and sometimes our brain chemistries or whatever that can influence or change how we view certain things or how we go about our lives in different ways and whatnot. That's a whole different story. But in general, it was such a hard process after, like the first week after coming to Jesus, I felt so alive, more than I ever have in any other spiritual practice or thing I'd done in the past. And for those of you that know me or don't know me, or maybe this is their first time seeing me through video, I don't even know how much of you all know, but like I was very involved in different spiritual studies and paths and philosophies all throughout my life, I would say. And just even though I was baptized when I was a baby, and we used to go to church a little bit when I was younger, that just kind of faded away as I grew older, and I just didn't feel anything. So like it just felt fake, but as you grow older and experiences happen, and I felt like there's a specific truth. There has to be something. And like when this happened though, I felt that conviction per se, but also at the same time, you start comparing yourself to God's design and what he considers sin and what is not. And some of those things seem minuscule and whatnot. And obviously some things are bigger than others, but it kind of hits you different, because you're just like, you then feel like, holy cow, like this whole time I've done this and this and this and that and this thing and that thing. And it's humbling. And in general, I've always tried to be a humble and conservative person in terms of choices and whatnot. And like, it's a deeper humbling than even, being a good person per se. But it's and we can be really hard on ourselves for things that we've done in the past and choices we made that were really dumb. But in general, I hope that if you've ever come across me in your life or friendship or relationship, whatever, I know we all try our best. I hope that if I've ever, like, if you're watching this, I've ever hurt you or have done anything that made you think bad about me, which I can't control. That's not the point of this. I ask for your forgiveness. I hope you do have that forgiveness. I've noticed in my own life where I've, especially through this process, where some of my deeper patterns and things, as much as I try to keep my integrity and do good and whatnot, certain things just haven't always lined up in my life, and it's made me closed off in some ways. And I think at the same time, it's been hard for me to stand in something that I sometimes see as divisive, or would be divisive. I've always had this inner want to bring the peace per se. But having said that, I also feel now at this point, from everything I've learned in the last 7 months that there is a level of truth. And to stand in that it takes courage. And so I'm like working through that too, because it's not natural for me to, it's not to say I've never had opinions on things, but I've always been really fluid in certain areas around things, or I would just be very quiet, and I don't know. I think when this hit me, it was just so different, and the perspective that things changed within me. But it did swing me over almost like so far to the other way that I became uber reserved the first few months that this happened, because I was almost like afraid. It's like I understood where people feel condemned in the church and whatnot, and from Christianity. It's like I was feeling that, even though I wasn't, I would say that the people I've connected with in church and people I've been following online that teach good theology, like I didn't really feel condemned from them, but it was almost like the way certain things are worded or phrased, like it can feel really condemning. And so like, it's like I froze up. Like I haven't felt like myself in a way, even though I've become born again. It's just a weird conglomeration of everything that's been going on. And to say the least, it's just been a really mind-altering experience, and it's been really tough. Like there's so many emotions that come with it. There's so much confusion. Actually, there has been for me at least. And that's going to be a process, I suppose. Figure out who I am now in Christ. And I know that's probably going to upset some people. I get that. But knowing what Jesus did for us and actually feeling it and like then understanding it after, like I'd never read the Bible like I was saying before, but like this is the first time that after this happened, I was just all in on Jesus. It happened right before Easter as well. I just dove into the Bible. I felt drawn to it, and it came alive in a way, and just certain things just started to make sense. And like, not everything, but it was also really tough because you have all these old things and thoughts coming out, and it's basically convicting you in a sense, but then you're trying to see yourself and try to make different decisions. And so there's a lot that happens with this. And for me, this has also happened at a time where like financially, I was actually already in a really poor spot, and it's gotten worse. Because these things that happened, they brought on some fears and anxiousness and confusion on how to proceed in my life. And then the way I feel anxiety in my body, sometimes it's a guidance thing and I can't tell, or sometimes it's just old feelings coming out, and it's really tough to decipher. And sometimes it could be really physically debilitating in some ways, where literally like parts of my muscles in the spine will tighten up so much that, like, how do you make a decision to do something if you feel that tight about something? And just, I don't know. But so it's been really, really tough. And, for anyone that I have like been wishy-washy with this summer too, like I apologize for that. It's just, it's been a lot for sure. And I'm still going through it. To go further into some things though, in general though, so like some of the things I was studying though, over the years, like I was on a mission for a couple things. One was an esophageal spasm issue, which I've talked about before in other pieces of content or friends or those of you that know me. I eventually learned it was basically my nervous system freezing up in the vagus nerves around certain times when eating, and that would cause like choking issues and whatnot. And the traditional medical route, like in my teenage years, didn't really address that. It didn't fix it. So like I went down this road of trying to figure out why it was always happening to me over the years. And I was also on the search for, like after college, like I was just on a search for identity. Like I'd gone to college for graphic design, but then it just kind of, I don't know, I just didn't know who I was per se. And so combining all of that together, like the anxiousness and things that happened in my 20s, and then like I said, being out of college, and then also just not fully agreeing with how the world systems seem to operate or how we're built to be, really rifted against some of my natural ways of being and doing. So I started getting, after I burned out in the mid 20, between 20, right around 2016, due to overworking myself, like I was on these, but within all that, I was in these other realms of spiritual learning. And so in the search for identity and healing and multiple things, I'm not saying that everything I came across was wrong or bad, but I do think there's the roots of many things that are taught in the New Age spaces and in some of the other religions and things. Again, this is not meant to be condemning, but like I feel that this is truth just because of what I've experienced, and I have to address that. Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm doing diligence for Jesus per se. And so, but effectively, I was getting involved in everything from like law of attraction teachings to manifestation. I was having energetic experiences in the body. I was having third eye opening sort of experiences, probably brought on from meditation, or perhaps some of the, I'm still researching some of the roots of certain healing techniques, but I think there's some energy-based techniques that may be more involved with the demonic realm than healing from God. It's a different thing. It's very slight. I've been doing tons of reading and research all year long. But all of these things culminated for me into what I would consider or call false light teachings or experiences. And I was having these euphoric experiences and such from some of the things I was learning. And then I was getting, after that, right around 2017, I started learning more and more about like astrology and numerology. And I came into contact with the Enneagram, and then I came into contact with human design. And it was all these almost like personality based things to find out who I was, because I didn't know how to almost like interact with the world. I've always kind of felt in a way like, despite like enjoying my time with people when I'm out with them and wanting to be a light and be positive and whatnot in any of my interactions where I can, it just, outside of that, I didn't know who I was per se. So I was super involved with all these things, but it was at the same time, I've always had this drive per se to understand the human mind. I've always feel like I've had this natural counseling side of myself for people. People used to come to me for advice a lot, and I think a part of that of myself was very natural, and it was good. And but as far as like my life purpose and trying to match like success, and at least on a worldly scale, with my talents and whatever, it's been a really tough challenge. And it's I've learned so many things, but yet the application of it has been a struggle. But like the problem that I have found within all these realms, like I said, you have to use discernment as to what's from God and what isn't. But so many of these other identity-based things, such as who you are as an astrological sign and all these things, they can lead you down so many different roads. I got involved with having like card readings and all these different things to like figure out things, because I think we naturally would want to know in some way our future when we're lost. But I think that's where faith comes in. And I've been down the road where like certain readings and things, it plants things in your mind, and then you almost start to live to make that become a manifestation. And then you start learning about energy and different ways of how these experiences you have integrate in the body. And it leads you down other roads. You're like, oh, I can become my own God. And it's very subtle. You don't know it. And it's not like I really felt in my head that I was God. I guess when I would speak, I always thought of God and universe as sort of intertwined in the same thing. But if I'm intaking everything I've read this year as being correct and true, then that is not the case. And though God designed so many things to be similar and for connection, at the same time, though, it can get slightly twisted and put you down the wrong path. And it's almost like there's this double-sided coin that is of Satan. There's like a dark side and there's a light side, but both are Satan. And like, then there's Jesus, who isn't on that coin. He's his own coin, him and God and the Holy Spirit are like a different coin. I'm not trying to say that they're a coin, but they're above all that. Obviously, they're above everyone. But just to illustrate what I'm trying to say, like, and when it actually says in the scriptures, which I did not know this until this year, that where it says Satan masquerades as an angel of light, which is in 2 Corinthians 11:14. You just didn't see it. Like, I didn't know how involved into these other things were against God's design. But it's also very confusing, because I do think there's a lot of things I learned that were actually very good in those spaces. I don't know where the roots were at. So for me personally, it's just been a really confusing time and year, and like just haven't really known how to function since then. I've been very to myself this year, just outside of like connecting with some new people and going to church services and some Bible studies, which have been really enlightening. It's a whole different world than where I was. And there's much I feel like that needs to be learned and integrated, and still at the same time, like, because Jesus, he teaches love, and so like there's this love side that is for everybody. Like, we are commissioned to love everyone as we love ourselves, but at the same time, what does that look like, and how do we do that? And I guess that's kind of where I'm at now. How do I go about this? Because now I know who I live for. And I hope more people find that, because I do believe now, which is something I never believed before, that our souls are on the line for this. And it sounds insane. I know how insane that sounds, but it's almost like if you become Holy Spirit infused, it starts to make sense. And I'm grateful for that, but yeah, it doesn't make things easier by any means. So this video is going on a little bit longer than I was expecting, but if you're still with me, I appreciate it. I hope you've followed this till the end. Just a couple more things I will mention. I can't remember if I already said this, but yeah, it's almost like, I wish the universal worldview of religion or whatever was true, but like, because it's easier, like, I guess in a way it's easier in certain ways. And again, this isn't meant to be like to say that everything in a different culture is bad, but sometimes there are certain things in cultures and religions that do get infused, and I guess that's where discernment comes from. But at the same time, we still need to love others, but stand in truth, and that's a really mucky, hard thing to wrap our minds around, and it has been for me. And so, but just knowing that feeling I had, I can't go against that. I know what I felt and what he did for us, what Jesus did for us. And yeah, and I know I can't force anyone to believe me, forgive me, or like me or whatever, but I think if you choose to fully come to the Lord yourself, you'll start to see things differently, and it'll change you. I don't say that lightly, and I'm not saying this to force my experiences or beliefs onto you. I'm just speaking what is spoken, what he taught. I don't really know what else to say with that right now, other than it's just been a crazy year. I have a lot to figure out. There's a lot I've been working through. For my work, for work in general, for where do I go from here? What needs to be taken care of? What needs to be reconciled? What needs to be, what step am I meant to do? That's what I've been working through, and trying to follow that and put myself aside and figure out what that looks like in the eyes of the Lord. It hasn't been easy to decipher, and sometimes I overthink a lot of things too. That hasn't been easy because I've always kind of been like that. But I'm trying to find my way out this rut, and we'll see where things go. But I love you all very much. I hope this finds you well. I appreciate you being here, and if you haven't already found Jesus, I hope you choose to find him, and he will he will come to you with open arms. And I didn't even know I needed it, but I did, and it changed me. It will continue to change me. I also want to say thank you to anyone I've met this year that has taught me something new, that has spoken with me about helping me try to understand certain aspects of what I've been going through. It's very, very appreciative. I haven't been able to give back in the ways that I want to yet, because of my financial situation, among other things, and it's frustrating to me, because it's in my heart to give, and it's in my heart to want to be of good service, and I'm sure that'll come about as I go through my process and figure out everything. But yeah, for anyone that has helped me, and as I've been working through emotions and trying to make decisions on where to put my time and energy, even in terms of volunteer work or anything like that, I just know it's in my heart. I want to give back in some way at some point. And we'll go from there. But so thank you all to anyone again that I have talked to this year, or have been interacting with. I appreciate it very much, and we'll see where things go. Much love to you all, and may God bless you.